Okay, I think we are recording now.
Yep.
Maybe I can share my screen. So before we jump to the board list, are there any issues that we would like to talk first?
Mm.
Do you want to talk about the CTS
We could do
pull
that. I
request
don't know
first?
if it's I don't know if I'm tracking it as an issue. Maybe I should break it up into multiple issues that might be needed. Like I did create this, yeah, at the fun. This is the first real test added into the CTS. And you can see I'm copying some files directly over with one line exception. This is the common and the common header files, and then this entry point that is in the existing implementation, right? So it's just like providing some of the boilerplate that are like shared across tests. Um, and for now, not all of it is used, but I imagine that I want to copy this like the C and C++ code almost like verbatim. Like it's only the JavaScript code that actually needs to change. For this to work, right? So um, so this is the first test and whatever is needed for the first test. Should we go through the PR or do you? Yeah. Um, so the idea is basically to have the harness. In this case, we are only implementing one harness, the implementers node. Here, it gets the ability to injects this load add-on function, which is just a wrapper in this case around the process DL open. It could also use require. It's just a little more precise, I think, to use the process DL open. And then the test in this case can just call that function, get um, the add function from the add-on, and then call that. And this is based off this other JavaScript file, right? So you can see here it's not using any Node.js specific APIs. It's only the things that the assert function and the load add-on, which is injected from the harness. And I think I would want to, like I have this, and then I created two more draft PRs showing I did that just like a few minutes ago, showing off the two next tests that are basically stacked on top of this PR. Yeah, but yeah, we can show this. This is I'm using CMake instead of Node.js, and the reason for this is twofold. One is I had a conversation at React Summit this autumn, no, sorry, this summer with what is his name? He's a chair of the Node.js project. Something with M. Sorry, Matteo or.
Michael Dawson
Uh,
or
Sorry, I should have known. I think
no worries.
Matteo.
All right.
But the gist was basically that with the Chromium project moving off Node.js or JIP, the build system, there might be interests in migrating more into CMake in general in the Node.js project. And that's one of the reasons I'm suggesting this. The other one is that we have tooling in React Native and other, like some of the other implementers that are more aligned with CMake in general. So I think it would be a smoother experience to have CMake drive the build of the add-ons. Um, I'm probably like a +2 on a -3 to +3 scale on using CMake. I think it would be a really good add. Um, yeah. So
Cool.
basically, this one just defines a function that can be called from each of these. If you click at the CMake text file inside the two function arguments folder, you can see how it's being used. Can I show if you can you see where I'm at? Like if you go up to the CMake list file, not this one, yeah, you can see here up here how it's being used, right? It's basically just like declaring the name and then the source files, and that's it. And then that's basically calling out into the root. Mhm.
Sorry. I'm wondering that is it necessary to depend on the CMake.js dependency? Like, I would prefer that if we can make the dependency as small as possible,
Mm.
only add necessary dependencies.
Yeah, the reason it's basically that's also what we have in the existing. We also have some other like in the documentation, like how to build with CMake. It's pointing to CMake.js. The reason it's needed is for these CMake.js include and lib like on line 7 and 8, for example, of this file. You can see yeah there, but also line 7 and 8 up there uh, basically providing things that can um, basically make it possible for it to link correctly. If that makes sense.
Um,
If I just used bare CMake, I would have to write more CMake configuration.
yeah, my point is that I think it will be great if we can make the dependency minimum as possible and to know what exact link options do we will need to build Node add-on API, because CMake.js is not only for Node APIs, it also is built for the traditional C++ add-on. And for Node
Only
API, the
hmm,
as far as I can tell, the only dependency is these headers and the dev files on Windows. So all of these dev files are available in this Node API headers package. We can already do that with this minimum package. I think the test repository might not be a good example for add-ons building their add-on. Instead, we should make the test repository as a bare minimum for implementers to run the test and reduce the dependency interface.
hmm.
So that's um, my impression. So overall, the pull request looks good to me, especially about the how you implemented the load add-on as a bare function. So instead of depending on the require function, it's like we can just depend on this add-on runtime agnostic function to load the
Hmm.
add-on. Um, I think the only concern that I have is that it seems to me that we don't necessarily depend on CMake.js. The only necessary dependency that we could have is the Node API headers, so that we don't have to um, depend on any third-party dependencies in this test suite.
So in general, like I mean, if I didn't have Node.js, so just one clarification is you said that it also provides the Node underscore API, um, like the C++ wrapper, right?
Now, this Node
That was
API
one you said, right?
headers package only contains
Yeah.
the C headers. If we
Hmm.
really need to depend on the C++ headers as well, which is located in
Yeah.
this repository,
I
I
don't
think
think we need that, right?
no, we don't
No.
need in
And
this
it's
particular
also
example.
CMake.js does not bring that. It does have the ability to include it if you have it as a dependency. But if you don't have a dependency on the Node API header, sorry, what is it called? The Node add-on API header,
Node
sorry.
add-on API.
Yeah, the one that provides the C++ wrapper. If you don't have that dependency on that, it's not going to be injected. Um,
I think Node API headers is also the same. Like Node API headers only um, includes the C header files like JS native API types and JS native API
yeah,
H.
yeah.
It does not include the C++ headers.
Yeah, I agree. Like Node CMake.js does not provide the Node add-on API if you don't have a dependency on it.
Yeah, my point is that
Yeah.
I would prefer that people can build this project with bare minimum build setup. For
Mm,
example, if they don't use CMake at all, they can also refer to this CMake file easily and replicate in their own build system.
mm. I can
So
definitely take a look at it and see how hard it would be for me to drive the build without CMake.js. I think the trouble would be around potentially having this run on Windows, for example, like not having these node-lib target, the node-lib dev stuff. Like I would need to basically copy that out of like the CMake.js project, I
I
suppose.
think we already had the Windows dev files in this
Yeah,
package as well. So
yeah.
like just native API.dev and
Okay.
node API.dev. So yeah, it just let us know if there is any difficulties in building the add-on without the CMake.js. I think
Mm.
it should be straightforward as the motivation that we provided this package is to allow people to build Node API with minimum setup.
Okay. I can try to take a look at that. Definitely.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
Thank
one
you
kind
very
of
much.
noticeable omission in this Node API headers, we don't have any experimental APIs. I guess question will be, do you want to have CTS be able to test some experimental features or not?
I think in general, yes. I would imagine that that would be nice for the implementers to be able to exercise experimental APIs as well.
I
Eventually, at
think
least.
as a first step, we should focus on the stable API.
Mm. I agree. Okay, so my plan is, and I think I outlined that in the issue maybe, but it's basically I want to have these just a couple of tests, in this case like three or something like that, as like the one vertical, like just showing like this is how I expect the test to be set up and how platform stuff is injected. And then I want to try to expand horizontally now, trying to like provide basically implementers for Bun, Dino, and React Native. Maybe not like inside of this repository, all of them. Potentially some of them, like if it's like two files inside of this repository, it could show, like it could be like an example of how to provide an implementer for one. But otherwise, just like have like a repository, maybe on my own account, just showing how to use this from a bun or a Dino context. Um, and I think like because then potentially have that upstream into them somehow, like have them, maybe I'll engage with them to adopt those files and maintain them. And then because then we would have like both a deep and a wide uh, implementation, and then I can expand on the tests without, and then like knowing along the lines like where we're hitting problems with potentially using something that we shouldn't like. Yeah, so just it would be a nice constraint that we actually have multiple implementers as we are building out the tests, if that makes sense.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Great.
And that could potentially also show these issues, right? If like no if CMake.js is a no-go for some of the other implementers, like if that doesn't make any sense for them, or they need some other
Um,
changes to the CMake files for it to generalize enough, that could
I
show.
think the CMake.js is not a no-go. It's just that preferably we
Yeah,
can
yeah,
reduce the dependency.
yeah. Yep. But I mean, it does solve a problem, right? CMake.js. But
Well, it does. I mean, it definitely can do the job.
yeah,
Um, it's just that my preference is we
keep
can
simple.
reduce the dependency
Yeah,
here, so to make it easier for people to adopt to
yeah,
other different build systems.
cool. I agree. I'm gonna look into that. I have to drop off, but thank you so much.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
see
you very
you.
much.
Bye bye.
Same.
All right, cool. Um, maybe we can jump to other lists. let's see. Um, I'm not sure if this was landed last week. I think it was landed recently. Yeah, we added the links prim.js to the list of the API stable node implementers, and they are one of the native. I think it's an engine similar to React Native, running on different mobile devices, and it's great to have them on board as well. And let's see if there's anything new. Okay, we can jump to the in progress list. Is there any items that people we would like to discuss first?
No, I didn't do any progress on my kind of
No
work. I
worries.
just speak. So technically, like I only saw like there's some feedback. It's about this V-table approach. Um, I think it's great, and also kind of trying to kind of design changes like based on our last discussion. Technically, we currently allow us to we currently this new design allows us to kind of inject a vtable inside of Node API modules, but there are some scenarios, like for example this one. What if module wants to have different versions? So technically today we address it, but we address it the kind of static way. Like we can have pretty much we have this function which returns version, but there is no kind of flexible way to say pretty much the same add-on to kind of order different versions. It will be probably ideally to have a little bit more flexibility here. And secondly, I'll still kind of try to think about through the issue how we can actually support multiple runtimes in the same process.
Yeah,
So technically, I don't know, its solution exists, but the issue is like reentrancy. And one of the issues that we would need to address in this case, what if we inside of callback, and in callback we only have effectively node an API environment, and I believe the only kind of solution effectively to redefine an API environment to be something which has pointer to back to the table. So in this case, even you inside of a callback, you can actually have a correct v table in this case. It's a little bit more changes if you like.
I think I'm wondering that if we can do it progressively, like making the well, like we don't have to verify if the VTable supports two different runtime in Node, right? As long as
Yeah, in Node we
it's
don't have this problem.
conceptually
Yeah.
achievable.
Say it again, sorry.
I mean, as long as it's conceptually achievable, I think that should be fine.
Yeah, I want to kind of probably kind of prototype it first, and we can roll it back. So I think at least we can show it. We can do it at some point. I just don't want us to get in a situation that our current design would not allow us to have much more advanced scenarios in future.
Right, sure. Yeah, makes sense.
Let me spend like maybe like another week or two on it, like a play with it and see how far it goes. Like we definitely want to have this change to be as minimal as possible, but it's also kind of if we're doing such big change, I think it will be nice to ensure that we're in the right path, if you will.
Yeah, true. Cool. No worries. I think um it would be great if we can ensure that the available solution is going to support future to be future extensible.
Yeah. If, for example, initial version will be say introduced with the table, everything kind of fine, right? And then like next
Yeah.
step, extend an API environment. So technically, instead of being just a pointer to some PEC object, will point to some more concrete object, right? This was pretty much, if you look on the GNI design, this is what they do. Like if you look on GNI in V, GNI in V effectively just a struct, which effectively have is only one field. It's a vtable field. So if we can do that, so technically it should all work.
Well, I
So
would wonder that it's not API stable for it's not API compatible for us to introduce that vtable field to node to API app.
it does not break any previous users, if you will. It's so technically
Well,
it's
it does not break previous user, but it's not compatible with previous node versions.
it will be not compatible. Yes. Yeah, if previous version does not have vtable support, then it will not work.
Yeah, it will not work.
Right.
But
So
yeah,
technically,
that's
ideally,
I think that
propagate
sounds.
vtable first.
I think the idea that having a field on API app sounds more interesting because we don't have to inline. Do we still have to inline every method code? I think it's only about to getting rid of the global variable, right?
Right, but see, like if as soon as we get rid of a global variable, certain functionality will not work. Like say, if you want to use Node API instead of callback, and you want to use Node API instead of callback, without this global variable, it would not work in current design. It's why kind of we need to have something which would provide this vtable inside of our callbacks. So technically, there are two ways. Like we either extend signature of our callbacks to add this vtable there as an additional parameter, which probably much bigger change. Or we can extend the definition of an API environment to have it as a field. But you're right. Like we need to think through how we can implement it in a way that it works with previous versions of Node. So I think it's just doesn't crash or something.
Yeah. Also, I would wonder how the field would work for different runtimes, for different implementers, especially we have a implementer um, written in that supports WebAssembly. So would wonder how they would support this particular field in WebAssembly.
Do you know like where this implementation of Node API and WebAssembly is like something clear?
I think
It would be
they
good to
are
know.
linked in this document. This one.
Oh, this EEM API. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me check
They
it distinctly. It's very important scenario. I think it's I hear like a lot of developers lately using Node API to interact with WebAssembly modules.
cool. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, so all good points. Appreciate it.
And right, I think this should be ready to learn. I will take a look. Yeah, no worries. Maybe I can ping Kevin on this.
It probably was something which already addressed, but yeah. But
Yeah,
he's
I think
out for.
yeah, Kevin is out, but I mean let's try ping him, and maybe he will be available online. Okay. I will land this as soon as possible. And I was out this week, so I didn't take a look at this one. Sorry. I will take it up next week. And
Okay.
yeah, let's see if we can get it sorted out.
And I still can create a issue that I promised so for people to discuss naming changes. Okay, I'll do it.
Cool. And we already talked about this one. And this is in the, we can keep it here to check it the progress. And I don't think there's anything particular new. About this one, I am concerned about adding the script to the repository, as I commented here. I don't think it's necessary to run the test. It's a script that shallow clones node.js core repository. So it's not the instructions for the copilot to code in this repository. Instead, it's just a script that helps others to shallow clone, which I don't think is necessary. So if you have strong opinion, please feel free to comment on this progress.
Yeah, let me look at it. Not sure.
Cool. Thank you.
Right.
Anything else people would like to bring up?
Yeah, I don't have anything else.
All right, cool. I think in that case, we can end our call early and have a good weekend. And maybe I'll see you in the new year and have a good holiday season.
Yeah, happy holidays and happy new year.
Yep. See you
Bye.
next time.
See you next year. Mhm.
Bye.
Bye.